jump you right into the story. Like, tell us what you thought. Tell us how you were before the incident. Like, what you thought about the whole subject, and if you thought about it before, if you looked into it before, if you had any exposure to it, and kind of your background, where you come from, and that sort of thing.
Okay. It's funny because it seems that my whole entire adult life, probably beginning as a teenager, I've always had a fascination with UFOs. Every UFO show it's been on, every UFO commercial, movie, I'm drawn to. And I've always been drawn to just mesmerized by the whole subject. And I never have really thought about it too much in detail as I was younger. I just remember I've always been very intrigued by it. It was very interesting. I've always thought, okay, we're not alone, as the saying goes. And this probably goes back to my teenage years. And I recall clearly before this happened in October of 2002, this abduction, or series of abductions, I guess were accurate, thinking, as I was watching a movie on like Sci-Fi or Discovery, they were interviewing people who had been abducted, and I thought, man, I would love to be abducted. They're so lucky. I want to go up to that and check it out, and I want to take pictures and take something, and I want to be involved and remember it and take pieces of souvenirs back, and all these things like that. About how lucky they were. Well, later on I found out how unlucky they actually are, or unlucky they actually were, because when it does happen to you, it becomes the scariest thing in the world. At the same time, you don't want it to end because it's very odd. But as I was younger, I always had an interest in it, always believed in it, always thought they were fortunate people that they got to have the experience, and I did, and I wish it happened to me, which is kind of odd. Remembering back when I was younger, I read the book that I have read later on by Dr. Jacobs, and I think Mac wrote parts of it, or the foreword of it. They have mentioned how people have explained to them that they are drawn to faraway places that are very remote, and they're just drawn, they're just pulled. And as I read that, I began to think back when I was younger, when we moved down here into the valley, probably at age 13, my dad would take me up to a place, the Kings River, which is east of here about half an hour in the low foothills, and he'd drop me off. And he'd come back 5 hours, 6 hours later and pick me up. I'd go fishing at the river by myself. And would do this, I did it for, quite often, it seemed like every 3 or 4 weeks. I'd get in the car, 6 in the morning, drop me off. He'd come back at 3 in the afternoon and pick me up. And even at that age, I was drawn to go to the hills and drawn to be alone in the hills, the mountains, by myself, thinking that I was seeking the solitude of the mountains and the beauty and serenity and the outdoors and the fishing and things like that, which is, I think, is part of it. But as I've read some other folks' recollection during the hypnosis sessions and things, they recall that this pull or extreme drive to go was maybe something else. Adolf, the person who was up with me when we got the abduction trip in 10/11/02, same thing. Very strange how when he was younger, and we both grew up since we were 15 together, and now I'm 42 and he's I think 43, 44. So for the last 25 years, we've been going up to the hills together, camping, fishing, etc. Well, he too, over the years, would find himself in his car driving 2.5, 3 hours to just drive and look at some spots and then turn around and come back. I remember when, for a few years, about 3 years in a row, getting in my car and going fishing by myself. And I probably told you that. I know my wife, recalls that, getting worried about me going through by myself. I get in the car, drive 2.5, 3 hours to a remote place in the mountains up here, Black Rock, Cartwright, places where there's nobody for probably 30, 40 miles. And I'd hike another 2 miles and fish. And I remember clearly the strong, uncontrollable need to go to the hills. And I again thought I wanted to go and fish. But we would joke, because I'd go up there to the hills and come back a much happier, nicer person. Much nicer. I mean, I don't know. We later on, I would joke and say, "Oh, you had to go get your tune-up from those guys, so to speak. You go up there and they fix it in your brain, what they do to you, and come back, much more patient and understanding." But reading the book, I also found later on that that's very common. And when abductions occur, from my experience or what I read, you really don't know that they occur. You kind of just think it's a bit of a dream or something happens, and then all of a sudden you step back and say, "Wow, maybe it was more than that." So it's always been with me for a long time in many, many, many forms and many, many thoughts and desires about it. And I've never seen a UFO ever. Lights, never. Wish I did. But I've always had that interest. Every show on TV I've seen, me and Adolph would always call, "You see that show?" "Yeah." We'd always call while it's on and compare notes, just before this even happened. I think the common thought is that if you're abducted, it's for a long-term experiment where it goes from childhood through adolescence through adulthood. But I don't have any clear recollections of anything when I was younger. But then the key is, though, that they don't want you to have recollection. That's the whole idea. It's make it so clean that you don't remember. Maybe things like a dream or something happened. I don't have any clear recollection when I was younger of things happen in that respect. But it's always been there. I've always thought they were real. As things progressed with us recently, I have begun to think a theory was put out there years ago that they're preparing us being civilization beings here on Earth, for their arrival or their presence or the reality of how things are. I'm not sure I want to couch that, but that's part of it. We'll talk, my buddy Adolph and I will say, when Roswell, which is in the 40s, which is the big watershed, I guess, or turning point, change how we think and perceive extraterrestrials, ETs, aliens, whatever you want to call them, to the point now where we have evolved and we have moved so much past Roswell that when people ask anyone on the street, pretty much, or for that matter around the world, what does the alien look like, they will say, "Oh, he's got he's gray, short, skinny, the big eyes, the particular shaped head, and slit for a mouth, and maybe a nose, maybe not nose." 60 years ago, 80 years ago, aliens were big, clawy, scary monsters that would eat people and children, and they were mean and they were very cruel and ruthless and to be feared. Well, we've noticed we've kind of changed from that perspective to, they have the little gray suits, there's the big ones and little ones, these things that we all almost agree upon as, generally accepted reality of them. And so I think we're progressing towards where we as people will accept them more and more and more and more. Interesting, again, about the shapes and the figures, and now we can accept that. Very odd, though, is we have never seen a hand. A hand. We have their shape, their head size, their particular body size, their proportions, etc., the colors, but no detail about their hands. And what we kind of think is that the pictures that we have of the hand prints that were left on the hood of the vehicle might be one more step in an evolutional process. Just like the first person who showed the head, the grayness, the big eyes, way back in Barney and I can't recall his wife's name, the first abductee that were really publicized in the late 60s, I think, maybe early 70s. Barney and Betty are their last names. Again, we now accept that, and we can to understand that that's the way things are. And I think that this hand is another piece to that puzzle, or maybe it could be, I don't know, but it's very unique, and you've seen it. It's very real and very compelling and very different. So that kind of brings us up to, I guess, the trip, a little bit about the background about these things, what we feel about them. And the more you think about these, and the more you get into it, and the more it begins to help explain a lot of things that are henceforth not really explained clearly, or there's someone's belief or theory or conjecture about things, I guess. So I don't know if that answers that.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Question.
Could you just tell us what you do for a living?
Okay.
And your family situation just briefly, and also you said that you believe you've always believed in alien existence, and then you've like watched the shows and stuff. But to what degree have you like really pursued it? So let's just go over those couple areas.
Like I said, I'm 42 years old. I work for the state of California as a senior analyst, which does the taxes and accounting. Married, have 3 children, ages 23, 20, and 11. I've been married to Tina, my wife, for 7 years now. I've been living here in Clovis, California for about 12 years. Been in Fresno, California for, I'm guessing, 30 years, approximately 30 years. And I'm just your average, I guess, if you could phrase it that way, average person. Went to Fresno State. I got my BS many years ago, 1990, and then I got a couple minors in accounting and other things like that. I've been a hard worker all entire life. I would say I am no better, no worse than the next guy. Average Joe, again, if you will. Lots of energy. I think I have a lot of interests. I love the outdoors. I love businesses, business type studies in the world of business, I guess. And let me see, a lot of good friends, a lot of people I really think trust me and respect me. And when I told them of what occurred and what I have experienced since that, because of those people I have told, either are close to me, friends, or some folks that work for family, and they know me, because it was me, they basically said, I believe you, because my credibility is quite high, because I've never been one to be blow things up extremely, or to make things up, or to mix up reality with non-reality, with dream, with fiction. I've been very stable in that respect. Again, I'm an analyst, and that's what we do. We're very linear thinking people, and we're very much in the world of organization and reality and those types of things. And I've been doing that for the state now for about 10 years or so. But everything that I'm going to discuss and relate to you and to tell you and to explain to you is truthful. It's the best that I can recall. I've written notes and certain things to help me not forget things. But it's just my experience. It's just what I know. It's just what's happened. It's just what I have seen, heard, or felt, or remember. I hope to get hypnotized at some point to help fill in some of these big holes, these big unfilled pages that I can't quite understand. I kind of will put it in the form of the context of that. I will see the first part and the end part, but the middle part is a blank, and that's where the pages I like to get filled. And I think through hypnosis, I'll be able to get some of these things answered. So that's kind of me as an individual. And part 2 was what again? Part 2?
I just want to see, were you, like, to what degree have you studied
that's right.
alien existence and that sort of thing? Were you like,
perfect.
go after it with a lot of zeal, or was it just kind
Get
of
every book in the world? Yeah. It's been
Were you involved in organizations and that sort of thing?
Okay. I've had the affinity for it, the interest in it, the gut feeling forever against young adulthood that I would love to just know that we would all know the same thing. They're out there, let's accept it. But I have never read a book on it until this happened in 10/11/02, until 2002. And now we are January 19th, 04, 18th, 04, I think today, 17th or 18th.
2004.
Yeah, 04, what did I say?
Yeah, 1904.
Oh, I'm sorry, I said January 04. I used to think 04 to the 02. You know what I meant, though. But I've never really read anything. Oh, I take that back. My mother, for some particular reason, got me a book, and I was fascinated, and I read it. And I'm not a reader. I won't read a book because they have a lot of pictures of cars and stuff. I was like, oh yeah, I don't think so. If I have too much energy to sit there and sit that long, I would get up and do something. But my mom got me a book, and I don't know why she got it to me because I was watching movies about it. I was probably not quite in high school, and it was called The Communion. And Again, that was the only book I think I've read outside of college that I chose to read front to back, the whole book. It's pretty good sized book. And I was fascinated with it, and I was just so into it. But then that's as far as I had actually got into it. Didn't really research. I just read it. And, wow, it's so cool, man. The guys, wow. And then since that book and just what I've seen on TV and movies, whatever, and I haven't really got out to any organizations. I haven't emailed anybody. I haven't joined any newsletters. So basically nothing. Adolf, who I would call AD, my best friend since I was 13 or 12, gave me a book when this all happened in 10/11/02, and there in the book he had some pages that he had thumbed, dog-eared for me, and as I was reading the pages, the realization of that, what this was saying is what happened to me, what this is showing, what I have a picture of, it was real powerful. And aside from that book, which again referred to earlier, which is one that written by Dr. Jacobson, I think Dr. Mack is the foreword or has involvement in it. Anyway, that's all I've read. And that's all to the extent of my involvement was that so far.
All right. So, 10, what was the date?
10/11/02, which is what we titled the book or story is 10/11/02.
10/11/02.
And that's odd because we went to the same spot where this happened, and this spot where this happened is here in Sierra Nevada, east of where I am here in Clovis, California. And it's approximately 85 miles to 90 miles east, and it's about 8,500 feet in elevation, so it's quite high in elevation, and quite remote. It's where basically the road ends where we go. And as I said earlier, we always go where the road ends. We don't know why, but we just do. We always have, and not so much anymore, though. We've kind of got away from that stuff. So, maybe we'll stay a bit closer this time. Maybe there's more lights where people actually might be, not where people aren't. We have always thought places that where nobody is, and then we kind of got away from that. But we refer to this occurrence as 10/11/02 because that's when it happened, October 11, 2002. Well, this particular spot where it occurred, we had been the same spot basically 10/11/01, 10/11/02, and 10/11/03. And 10/11/01, the first time we were there at the side up here in the mountains, we camped in a spot which is about 100 yards north of where we camped in 10/11/02 and 10/11/03, where the actual abductions took place. But the first spot, nothing really, wouldn't recall anything happening, but I do recall a year later having the same type of fears from year to year, from 01 to 02. I camped in the back of, at that time, my truck, four-wheel drive, and I have a camper shell. I had a little bed made back there. That's in 01. In 02, I had my tent. And in 03, again, a few months ago now, I had a tent also. But the same spot. And what's kind of unique about this spot is we take pictures of it, of trees and certain things. And for all 3 years, we've noticed that in this spot, I think I showed them to you, there's these little white specks or lights. Did I show them to you? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they're like, all over the background of the blue sky. And they're only in the sky, and you don't see them when you're looking at them, but you see them on the pictures. And I must have 1,000 pictures of all the places we've been going to since we were 15, 16 years old, 17, especially more if we became adults, up here in the Sierras. And I think maybe 1 out of 900 have the little lights, or the little specks or orbs, or whatever you want to call them. But in the places we go up to, they almost all have them. And there's some like little formations, and it's really interesting because it's just that particular spot, nowhere else. Don't know if that means anything or it's a bad film, because now we have a picture of the forest or the lake, and it's fine. The next picture of the hills of the background, and there they are, little triangles and like little dot things up there. And what's interesting to us, but kind of what we're thinking, well, maybe, if they, again, watching the show, I've watched many shows over the years, shows about UFOs, and they seem to kind of hang around certain areas. I remember Lake Titicaca, which is in Peru, that they have signs that say, watch out for UFO flying overhead or something like that. That's because they're so often in that particular area. And I know that they're synonymous with certain areas more often than not. And this may be one of those places, whatever they go, places, whatever they why they go unknown to us, but they seem to frequent different places and kind of congregate in certain places. We think this may be one of them. And what's interesting to note about this place is the abundance of natural crystal. This a mountain of crystal in the place, the geological zone, and it's set aside on the map as such. And as you walk around, there's crystal everywhere, just tons and tons of crystal, and a big lake, all right, in the same spot also. So it's kind of interesting if there's some connection. We don't know, but it's logical as anything else, I believe.
You mean quartz?
Mm-hmm. Quartz crystal, yeah, quartz crystal, yeah. And it's very abundant. Usually you find little bits and pieces with the granite up here, but you just found this stuff. Matter of fact, in this one spot, I saw a little piece, it's completely glass clear, sticking out of the mountain. And as I brushed it away, I found out the whole rock, the whole mountain was crystal. I mean, not like a little piece trying to pull out. No, the whole thing, the big 30 by 60 foot piece, I think was dry crystal. It seemed like, because we couldn't even find the end of it. We got tired and gave up. But I was like, your hand's gonna beat up and shredded.
You ever brought any back with you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I had some in the garage. I had a big piece that I brought back.
Okay.
So,
We can shoot it there.
yeah, I have that.
All right, so just start off with that faithful morning.
What's really strange is that 10, 11, 01, 02, and 03, 10, 11, 01, AD didn't want to go. He is somewhat, I don't say he's psychic, but he is definitely attuned to things that I am not. He is definitely a person who lives more on the spiritual and the other realms than me, who lives by the very basic, linear, intangible, logical realm. He is the anti-Ken, I call him, because he's just opposite of what I am, and I'm opposite of him, but we're best friends, which probably makes sense because we call each other here. But he's very much into the natural and the supernatural and the spiritual of all things. I am just pretty much opposite. I'm very much into, if my calculator doesn't work, and it doesn't exist to some degree. 10, 11, 01, the first time I went up there, we'll call it 10, 11, 01, or just 01. And 01 went up to the spot, and before we went, it's funny because he didn't want to go. He kept saying, I have a bad feeling with this place, I don't want to go, let's go somewhere else, no, I don't want to go there, it's too dark, it's too far. But his main thing was he didn't feel right about going before he even went there. And I'd always, come on, don't be a wuss, let's get up there, it's nice and cold. We're talking, this is October at almost 8,000 feet plus, so it's very, very cold. He'd always, say, I don't want to particularly go. And every year, I would have to drag him there and talk him into it. About a week before, we start plans about a month before we always go. We think about it, and we think we're going to go, and we talk, and eventually we get ready and we go. But every year, for 3 years in the same particular spot, at the beginning of 01, he would not want to go because he felt something was not right to go. Well, when we went there, got there, beautiful in the day, crystal clear and cold, but at night, extremely cold, extremely cold. The wind chill factor, just cold. But we enjoy that, so we're okay with that. The 01, the first time we were there, I didn't see any lights, didn't experience anything, but I remember lying in my camper just being scared to death and thinking, what in the heck is outside? There was a bear back then or someone, but there was no one up there but us. But being in there and being very hard to sleep because I was so scared because someone's outside of my camper. I mean, getting behind the truck, I'm there sleeping in my bag and going, man, who's out there? And just scared to death. AD, same exact thing. And it's windy up there, but wind never scares us. But it's just a thing that someone else was there. And in 01, let me back up. We camped together for 30 years. I'm getting 42, so I've been probably 15, 16, and even earlier when we were younger. Probably actually even going back a little bit younger, I think, maybe 14, 15. So almost 30 years or so, I guess. And I know what bears are, raccoons, I know about critters and things, and I've never been scared of things like that. We sleep outside just in the dirt. Give me a blanket and a plastic tarp, and then there we'd sleep. I wouldn't do that again now. I think, oh no, actually I want a big old RV. I want an RV. I want some cameras on it, and I want head bolts on it, and I'm thinking, okay, tie some dogs up to it, maybe some barbed wire, razor wire. I mean, we're getting to that point where we're like in the dirt like this to 10 flashlights next to me and a hatchet and all these things. I don't believe in guns, but kind of went full circle, I guess. But we, so I know about camping, I know about things, I know about what to be scared of, what not to be scared of. People aren't gonna mess with you. Bears don't really want to do anything with you. They get a bunch of food, they don't care. Critters, same thing. So when I know when I'm in the first in '01, having this deadly fear that something was out there, scared to death. It wasn't an animal because I know about animals. This is my. If it was your first camp, you'd say, well, it's probably a stinking, woodchuck, or a rabid beaver or something gonna bite you. But I know about those things. I know that's not what it was. I've been doing it for so many years. Been outdoorsman since I was probably 8. My first fishing pole and first hiking experience. I was doing them for many years. So when these noises and stuff come, I can kind of separate something that I know is an animal. I can just kind of shoo away or scare it away versus something that's absolutely not an animal. First '01 trip, when I first had that real sensation that, okay, this is really scary. This camping stuff is really scaring the hell out of me, and I want nothing to do with this because I just cannot sleep. And there's something right outside of my thing, and you can't see anything. The place we go is so remote. There's usually maybe a couple of other people camping, but there's no phones, no lights. One dirty kind of half-paved road over rocks, and that's about it. No restroom where we are, and we're very remote. And I show the photographs later on where we actually camped, where these things took place. But '01, nothing particularly happened. But I remember being very, very scared. Had to talk it off in the coming. Come on, let's go. Okay, well, she went. '02, we went up again. But before we went up, this is October 11th of '02. Once again, had to talk him into it, and he had the same thing before. And we didn't really put the pieces together until '03 and '04. Like, man, this is kind of like a pattern here. We didn't make the picture yet. We had just remembered that I give him a call, let's go up there, let's go up to the hills, we go to our spot, let's go. And he'd say, I don't know, that's kind of far, and it's scary, and I don't feel right about that. I just don't feel right. And I think I quoted him to say, I don't have a good feeling about that place, what he would say, because he's a very spiritual person. And he lives by that. And I, come on, let's go, and he would go, kind of with reluctancy, but he would end up going always, show up with me. Well, when these trips would come, I remember thinking to myself, I become very anxious and I become very excited about going. I couldn't wait to go. I'd have a rough week at work and say, man, I need to go to the hills, because then we'll go up and drink beer and do fishing and hike around. But then as I read things, like you need to you're drawn, I don't know, to be fixed or to be something that happened to you that makes you feel better emotionally, mentally, and psychologically with some degree, somehow. But I remember just counting the minutes to go. And the night before we go, I couldn't sleep. I was like, I'm going to Disneyland, I'm going to do this. But, like a little kid going to Disneyland for the first time or something. And it's always the same. And as I read in that book, the drive to go again to remote places went on for years. And I would go places that in the snow by myself. I'd drive 2.5 hours, a place called Black Rock. Drive 2.5 hours, probably 70 miles an hour, 70 miles away in the hills on one-lane road. No one's there for 40, 50 miles anyway, it seemed. And then walk another mile in the snow to fish. And all that time, as I read, missing time, I'd have no clue if I was missing time or not. I was so far back. And I couldn't pick up and snack and put it back down. I wouldn't have even clue what even happened. And no, I'll be there to see you anyway. But back to this trip here in '02, we're getting ready to go out there. Drug him up there, got him up there. I'm all excited. I'm ready to go. I gotta go up there. And we call him, hey man, we need to go up, dude. This is years ago. Like, yeah, we need to go out. Let's go out. We're ready to go. Yeah, I'm ready. Again, thinking we need to get the peace, the relaxation, But as I think about it now, it was much more than that. I think it was more that as the book reports I have read, the pull is undeniable that you have to go, and that was pretty much us. I thought we had to go fishing and drink a beer. No, we had to just go get fixed up. Matter of fact, my mom once talked to me when this happened. This is very, to me, very extreme. Or that's the right word for it, but it was very. I can't remember the word for it. Anyway. When this happened, before I told my mom what happened in 10/11/02, she had said when I came back, I seemed to be so more relaxed, so much easygoing, so much happier, so much more. I'm not I'm a very organized person, a very controlled person of things, and so that kind of keeps you at your house nice and your car's nice. It keeps you real busy, so to speak. Well, I just relaxed and easy going, and my mom noticed that I was very easy, and I just looked better, and I looked happier, and this is half of this trip. And it's funny because whenever we come back from the hills, my wife would know that, and she'd even say, you know, before this came out, you need to go to the hills with your buddy because you're getting kind of cranky and kind of irritable and kind of testy because, you know, life in general, as we all get with things in the world and kids and family and bills and jobs, you know, and taxes and all these things we deal with. But I just remember in '02 going out there with that just couldn't wait. I go myself often, and this time, 10/11/02, this is a Friday. We go Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 11th, 12th, and 13th, or 2nd, 13th, and 14th. Second is a Friday. AD and the first trip, we went together, 10/11/01, and nothing particularly happened except for I kept thinking, God darn, I don't know who's on my side of my thing, but they haven't got me yet, so I'll just try to sleep. You can't sleep because when you get that fear level, you just tense in a ball in your bag. '02, first thing was we got out there, we plucked them into going, got in the car. I have my truck here and I couldn't sleep, so I'm up like probably dark packing because Sunday I was up trying to get up and go. I had a whole probably 3 hours sleep the night before on Thursday. This again is '02. Got up, truck was already halfway packed, and I just jetted up there. Couldn't wait to get up there. I felt fine going up there, just as happy I'm going. I remember I drove up there, and I'm in '01 where we camped. It was kind of open, very windy, but we saw a spot again 100 yards south of where we camped in '01, which is a little tree, we were trees there, and that's what I wanted to get to because it was much more sheltered and a little bit more private. And this year in '02, I said, yeah, I'll go up there early, I'll get the spot. I wouldn't know when else gets it. Not that anybody else ever was, but I just wanted to make sure we had the spot. Well, I got the spot in '02. I get up to myself, and I think I was there, and I have to look at my notes, but I think I was there at most likely probably about 10:30. Okay, about 10:30 or so. It's about right. I'll find exactly, but it's really, really close to that time. Well, the first time that I get there, I'm happy, feeling really good, and I just unpack everything I can, get my camp set up, my tent and everything ready. And the first thing I noticed that was weird was I got there and I got everything set up. I'm going in my tent and I'm getting I have a cot at that time, my cot done, my bag set up, and everything organized. I'm an organized type person, so I get all my my shoes and my things for night and my stuff all set up, my flashlights and benches and food and all these things here. Like everything's set up, I'm just about done. I'm going in my tent. I'm getting my clothes out for the night. I can have them all ready to go. I go to sleep because you don't want to try to be shuffling for your clothes when it's 8 degrees outside and you're freezing. So I get everything set up. Well, I'm in the tent, and all of a sudden I'm in the tent. I'm shuffling through my bag, and all of a sudden I keep finding myself as I'm doing things looking like this. I kept thinking that I keep thinking someone's here. I kept thinking, who the heck is out there? But there's only one road, and you hear the car coming from quite a ways. But I'm very uneasy, and and to the point where I can't even relax and comfortable that someone is outside somewhere right by me, looking at me, or something. And that's why I don't like being in a tent because I can't see him, and I feel like I'm not trapped, but I guess I'm trapped and I can't do anything. So I'm trying to load my bag and my things on the tent. And I just get startled and feeling this like, God, man, I don't like this. There's someone out there. I'm getting scared, basically. I'm like, what the heck? And I forget that. I zipped it up, and I saw someone's out here in the sun waiting for Adolf and Kenneth to come. And on 10/11/02, there was me, AD, and Kenneth. There's still 3 of us in '02. '01, just me and AD. And '03, just me and AD, because Ken couldn't go. Well, we think after '02, he don't want to do the hills because he don't talk about it much anymore. He's probably 16 years and nuts. Have at it. But in '02, I distinctly remember I couldn't stay in my tent, but not even, seconds. I'd start stuff and I had to go back up and look around. I said, God, no one's here. And I do that and I go back up and I look around and I say, God, I keep thinking someone's like right out there, or I don't know what it was. So I get things set up. I'm sitting in my chair and we're probably 30 feet from the road. Fire ring. There's a little dirt road, a little paved road right there, and there's a big, huge canyon. You sit down and enjoy the view. My binoculars out, my pictures. And my camera, and get my maps out to try to identify peaks and things. That's what we do for fun. And all of a sudden I hear a sound. And I'm thinking to myself, that is a really strange woodpecker. And I'm thinking to myself, I thought a woodpecker is like poking wood, trying to get grubs out of wood. You know? I'm going like, and it didn't even occur to me till after that I've heard that sound later on, and then it wasn't a woodpecker because it wasn't a beak hitting wood. It reminded me of a sound I've heard from the Aborigines. So I'm sitting in my chair going, man, that is a crazy woodpecker. And I had a beer, I think by now, it's Friday afternoon, but this is probably close to noon, I guess. And I'm sitting there waiting, and I'm thinking to myself, that is the strangest sounding woodpecker I've ever heard. Or bird, or whatever it was. Didn't think much of it. But the sound was like that. And it was almost like it was like a chatter, I guess, is kind of what I thought later on. And then I didn't think much of it. What was very strange about this is I got there, and I was probably set up to go at 10:45. And AD, I don't think they got there until like 2. So I was there for, hours by myself, sitting in this chair. But it didn't seem to me, or I don't remember what I did for those 2 hours while they weren't there. I remember sitting there for a while, having a beer, I think, or a drink, or a soda, or something, at least in the early part. And then they got there, and as you look back, things just look differently than as you try to remember immediately after. They got there, I heard the sounds, and we started packing, and just getting stuff set up. John chewing the fat, BS, and having beer, sitting around the campfire, getting wood. These are stuff that we do. Look at the cars, and we have our trucks, and talk about 4-wheel drives, and hills and mountains and fishing poles, and just BS, and what we're gonna have for dinner. Well, the first day, everything was fine. This is 10:11:02. This is Friday after like 2 or 3 in the afternoon. It gets dark 5:36, and it gets really cold, so you want to be back there pretty early. 3-4 hours set up, not a problem. Had fun, the usual stuff, no big deal. That night came. This is very odd. All the years that we have camped, and we're going back a lot of years, I don't really look forward to going to sleep. I like forward to staying out having beer with the boys, talking BS, and building fires, eating, till all night. Hours and hours and hours and hours. We could stay up, 12, 1, 2, 3 in the morning, hanging around BS and laughing, getting loud. But this time, I remember I think I went to bed about 9:30, and it's really odd because we never go to bed. I don't care how tired we are, we never have ever gone to bed. I don't say never very often, but really, we don't go to bed early. The night number 2 we usually do because we're tired from not sleeping the night before. But the first night we're always so excited about being there, we can't sleep. And we're all together laughing, drinking beer, building big fires. So I go to bed. Well, at this time, I remember it's really strange because I remember thinking I need to go to bed early, and man, I can't wait to go to sleep. I need to go to sleep. It's gonna be cool to go to bed. I want to go to bed. Not being tired, but I just want to go to sleep. And usually, even if I'll go, or one guy will go, if they're tired or don't feel well or whatever, then the rest will all stay up. Well, I went to bed probably about 9:30ish, as I recall. I have to check my notes exact time, but about 9:30. And Dave followed, shortly after I did. Like just a few minutes after I did, we all kind of packed it down at the same time. Well, we were all camping in our spot, and about 9:30 we went to bed. And up to that point of laying in bed, I didn't really think of anything too wild. But I remember thinking, I don't know, still a little bit anxious, a little bit nervous, a little bit scared. And I remember identifying that same feeling I had in '01, that a childhood fear of being chased by the boogeyman or a scary monster. Well, I know there's not monsters and boogeymans. I don't worry about me. Bears all chasing away. But those are unknown things. But I was laying there in the bed, and I remember that's when it started beginning, about 9:30 at night on Friday, whether Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm laying in the bed in my cot, and it begins to just grow in you, this fear that something's not right. And I think, again, I'll look at what I had written down in my timeline and my notes, which, again, this has been a couple of years ago. I wrote things down about a month after they happened, so I would remember after I realized, oh, what happened? I'm laying in my cot, and I think one of the first things I remember was being scared and thinking that there's something walking around this camp. And remember, it's pitch black, I have a fire going, and I have a little diagram that shows where we were, where the fire was, where the lights came from, where Kenneth was, and where AD was camping. But I remember when I was sitting there the first night, and I was thinking, man, who's out there? Someone out there walking around? But I would have heard the zipper from Ken's tent or Adolph's door open, but I didn't hear nothing open. I kept thinking like, okay, I'm walking around. It's not an animal because they would go into the, when we go to bed, but we leave our meat out there, chicken, food, chocolate milk, where we lay on the table, so it was animals. They couldn't come right to you here and go over the crackers and the cookies and the cereal boxes. You hear them eat the food. And I thought, okay, here's something to eat the food. I know it's going to be, raccoon. Well, I'm laying there in my cot, and I'm getting scared. I'm getting more scared and more scared. It's growing and growing, so I'm getting really uncomfortable. Right now, I can't sleep at all. And I think the first thing I remember thinking was, okay, who's out there walking around? Is it Kenneth? No, because I didn't hear his tent. Is it AD? No, he hasn't moved. But someone's out there. It's windy, and it's windy, so you try to listen to the sounds like this. I'm looking, and I don't know anything. Initially, the first thing I remember was this, and the whole night was this sound, like this. I'll never forget that sound, never. And it was almost the sound of like nylon rubbing like this. But what's really weird, it was all around you, and I kept thinking, what the heck is this swishing sound? Like, really, like, and you can't tell where it's coming from when your tent's moving. I think, is it my tent? So I listen for my tent, I hold my tent, and go, that's not what that sound was. It's not the nylon tent. I go, what is that sound? And I knew it was my tent because my tent makes this sound. It was a swishing sound, almost as though, it's kind of funny now, but we thought, well, what it was like spacesuits swishing because it's so cold up there. Maybe they have to wear clothes. Who knows? But what else? We didn't know what it was. But maybe they have their warm suits on or something, and it sounds, like that. And they don't walk around. They float up there or they fly around you. Who knows? But their sounds were everywhere. But AD, who was in the Forerunner with the doors locked, sleeping in there, heard the same sounds. That's why he was in the tent, because he goes, yeah, I heard that swishing sound. This is all in the next day. He said, yeah, I heard that all over. The first thing that happened was I remember, and I'm becoming very keen on when they come now, because I think I've experienced at least 3 abductions, I think 4 here, including the one at the house, so like a total of 4. And I know the signs now. I know the protocol, I know the process, I know how it starts and how it begins and how it ends. I don't know the middle part, which is, again, the page that I'm always missing. But I'm laying there, and then all of a sudden I remember kind of sitting up, and this whole night was like that, where I kept coming, I thought, in and out of sleep, or in and out of reality, or zoned in and out. And it's really odd, because when they come, everything that we know, for example, that we see right now, our reality is completely twisted. Time, location, direction, orientation, distance, spatial logistics, they're all twisted. I think about it as you would get, a layer of like Jello. You put the lime Jello and the red Jello and the blueberry Jello, and they're all very much stratus and very perfect. Well, if they're kind of coagulated, and you begin to twist them, they all kind of twist a little bit, and they all come distorted, but they're still able to just a little bit different now. And so you kind of lose your way. This is the same way. When I'm sitting there at first, I remember getting very confused as to, why are my feet facing, is this the road, or is that the road now, or is this the tent, or is this where Ken is? I'm just getting all twisted out. That could happen at first. Well, the first thing I remember, and it's so real, I talk about now, I still get goosebumps for it, because it never really goes away. But the first thing I remember was I'm sitting there in my tent, and I'm laying there, and after the swishing sound is going on, and after I have the scent of people around me, very odd is that Kenneth, AD, and myself not one time called out to anybody and said, "Hey, what are you doing? Is that you?" or "Knock it off." With the exception of this. First part, I remember Kenneth said that he's in his tent and he's sleeping in his tent, and I'm from his tent probably 8 feet away. And he's in there, and when I first thought people were walking around, we have tarps below our tents, the big plastic tarps. And when I kept thinking who was out there, when this first happened, I kept thinking someone's walking around my tent. But Adolf didn't get out of his camper. I mean, his forerunner. Kenneth is not out of a tent because didn't hear it unzip, and he's right next to me, again, 8 feet. That's why I thought, it must be the wind, or what is it? But then you get distorted and things start twisting. You don't know. This is up to about probably, let's say, 10:30 or so, maybe 10:45, maybe 11. I don't know. Between 10:30, maybe 11 or so, all of a sudden. Well, let me back up. The next day, when we all talked, Saturday morning, we all put pieces together. Well, I'm in there laying there, and all of a sudden, I'm in my tent, and I'm not sure if I'm awake or asleep or what that little state is, but I remember I bolt up because something was, or I thought it was Kenneth, was dragging something large across the front of my tent, or across the ground by my tent, and I said, Kenneth, what are you doing out there? You're freaking freezing. It's cold. Get back in your tent. You're sleeping outside. Are you crazy? Or is that you? But I thought he had got out of his tent and was dragging his bag across the dirt by the fire or something because it hit my tent. I thought it was him. And again, tents, I can touch the walls of my tent from where I am. It's not a very large tent. But I remember it was moving. Something was being like a big shield or a sheet was being kind of dragged across. And I said, Kenneth. I sprung up and Kenneth, what are you doing out there? You're freaking crazy? It's too cold to sleep outside. Go back in your tent. It's too cold. And I go, what are you doing out there? You're nuts. It's freezing. He goes, what? I go, what are you doing outside? He goes, is that you? I go, is that you? He goes, no, I'm in my tent. I go, oh, okay. Oh, and I get sat back down. One thing's very odd too when you're in this zone thing that they put you in, is that you don't finish thoughts. You don't carry through. Now, had this not been, then I would have got up and said, what the heck? I got my light out there. The next day we all realized that we're all three basically frozen to where we didn't move. You wanted to scream and talk and say, hey, dude, didn't happen. When I kind of popped up from my trance type thing and thought it was him outside my tent, because I saw a tent move and he wasn't him, then I just laid back down. He had the next morning, again, that he remembered between, say 10 through 11, where he thought that someone was walking around his tent and thought it was me and Adolf trying to scare him. And I thought it was him and Adolf and Kent trying to scare me. And we all thought it was each other getting out there. And I thought, well, no doors open like that. So who is it? Well, he was in his tent, had a little pen light, flashlight. And he said, this is the next morning, he goes, yeah, when they were walking around my tent, he goes, I thought it was you guys trying to trick me and trying to scare the hell out of me. Walking around my tent. And he goes, I have my flashlight and I was going like this to you guys on my tent to kind of say, you ain't gonna scare me here. I know it's you. They realized it wasn't us because we didn't say anything, like, hey, if anything, because they would have laughed or said something, or I think he may have said something to us, like, hey. He had a big knife and a sheath that he has, in his tent protection. And he was like, yeah, I'll scare them fuckers, I'll get them, I'll have my knife and like this, yeah, I know it's you guys, like, shing, yeah, go ahead and try it. And then he says, wait a minute, that ain't even them. The next thing he said the next day was that he remembers after a while, like I was, he so tired of being scared, and so tired of sitting there frozen, and so tired of not being able to speak, and so tired of knowing clearly that something was 2 feet right outside of his tent, but not being able to do anything about it. He realized, you know what, they're not going to hurt me, they haven't hurt me, I've got to stop doing this because it's just killing me, and it just was really terrifying. You get tired of being terrified, and so I just try to relax as best you can while it all goes around you. But try to get the fear out that I'm not going to come here and knife you or chainsaw you, if not move that fear out of there. Because remember, you're remote. There's no lights. We have no guns. It's between me and what's outside is a piece of nylon. That was about it. And he said, when he heard him walking around, he thought it was us. And you realized that wasn't and then it wasn't Ken, wasn't me or Adolf. Because, he was trying to say, hey, I got your number. I know you guys are trying to mess with me, so I had a little flashlight poking out the tent. Around the tent. We did not once go out. Later on, after I felt that thing drag, I thought it was him, the next time I may remember was I'm sitting there, and this is again, we'll say this is going to be probably 11:30, I'm guessing. I'm again trying to sleep or in some kind of trance. I think what they do is like they'll like, there's three of us there. They'll like put two of them out to like and they'll deal with something. They'll kind of put you aside or put you on ice, to be kind of say so to speak, for a little while. When I was in the tent, I'm laying down and I spring up and I'm just scared to death this whole time now. And I jump up like out of a sleep or trance and I said, God damn it, Ken, the forest is on fire, the forest is on fire, we need to put the forest out, the forest is on fire, oh God, the whole thing, the fire jumped over my tent, the whole forest behind me is freaking blazing, and we're going to catch this whole thing on fire, and they put it out. I'm all freaking out, paranoid, because I'd spring up and I saw from the back of my tent, the whole thing was lit up. And I thought the fire, which is on, if I'm sleeping like this, and I'm facing southeast, which actually would have been this direction, right here, fire's to my left, this is to my right, and Ken is to the right in front of me, about 6-7 feet. And as I'm laying there in my cot, and all of a sudden I poke up and jump up, and all I see is just the whole forest behind me on fire. And I thought, oh my God, the fire jumped over my tent, spark. I got the forest on fire, and I'm screaming and telling the Kenneth, man, the forest on fire, the forest on fire. And he goes, what? I go, the forest on fire. And all of a sudden I'm looking, and this is why I think they kind of do stuff to you early on. Actually, I think they prep you earlier before they even come mess with you. Like you go to a doctor, they'll kind of prep you and they'll give you a pre-medication, and the medication they knock you out to get you ready, to ease you into the thing. Well, when I was there and I jumped up like this and said, "Can the forest on fire? They put the forest. Oh shit, the forest on fire. We gotta put it out. Get it." And I'm just all distorted and don't know what happened. And he goes, "What?" And I go, "The forest on fire." And I go, and all of a sudden I remember going, nothing. No, it's okay. And I just lay back down in my cot. Now, on any other day, I would have got my ass out and put the thing out, or at least got up and said, "Oh yeah, it's the forest on fire." But I go, okay. Well, throughout that night, as we went through this up, down, in, out trance thing, I remember thinking, there's freaking something out there. They're walking around us. It's pitch black, it's scary as hell, it's dark as hell, it's cold as hell, and there's something out there. I have a big old lantern flashlight in my hand, and I have a hatchet in my hand, and my buddy AD's right here, Ken's right here, but I'm so scared, I don't do anything. I'll explain it, that I want to scream, nothing comes out. I want to yell, "Someone, do you hear that? You got to hear this." Is at 9-1. You can't tell me you don't hear these people walk around. You can't tell me you don't hear shit. Someone get up and do something. Someone please get out and let me get out. I'll go up next, but someone do something. Well, we knew the next day we all were the same thing. I was saying, "Come on, Ken, come on, Ken." I'm going, "Come on, Ken, come on up." Ken's going, "Come on, Ken, come on up." We're all thinking the same thing. See someone get up, do something. We're all like this little world, just terrified to death, because it's dark and it's cold and it's windy and just not good. And then I remember to myself thinking that the little suckers are out there and they're walking around our tent checking stuff out. And it's weird because the next day Adolf had even said that he had a feeling that they were curious. And I thought, you know what? I got thinking them guys are out there looking at our stuff to see what we camp with or what we eat. Who knows? But they were out there, and I'm thinking, I have a sensation of at least like 2 to 3 to 4 to 5, a group of them out there. Anyway, and just looking at stuff, and I have my lantern, but I can't turn it on, and I just can't. I'm compelled not to, or I'm too afraid to. But I've never been that afraid of anything, not to do anything. But they just make you not do what you normally might do or would do or prefer to do. It's just no choice. Like you have a little free will. Your free will is not non-existent at that point. You don't have free will. You just have will, and they kind of bend it. Anyway, as the night progressed, same thing. I'd sit up a million times. I'd hear that all around me. I'm scared. All of a sudden, at some point, I remember I'm in my tent, and this is probably, we'll say like 12:30, I don't even know, in the morning, maybe 11:30, 12:30, and I'm sitting there, all of a sudden, I'm not sure of the order, I'll have to look and see, but I hear this sound goes, and I thought, oh shit, somebody has my CD player in my truck. I go, oh man, it's my CD player. Somebody turned my CD player on. oh, it's gonna burn my battery out or something. I'm like, oh, what the hell? That's my, you know, how you put a load of thing, goes, and it loads. I go, oh, it's a CD player. Oh shit, that's my CD player. I go, wait a minute, that's my camera. Somebody has my camera out there. That's my lens, my telephoto lens. Look at my freaking camera. Who's turning my camera on? And all of a sudden, I'm just listening like this intently for it, because I heard it go. I'm like, oh shit, that's my CD player or my camera, whatever it was. It was a machine that was turned on, and I'm listening like this, scared to death, shaking like this, and it's pushing around you, and you're trying to identify every sound as a stick or a piece of the wind and a brush and the this, and I'm dying to know what it was. And I'm listening like this intently. The next day, AD was the same way. He just mesmerized, frozen with fear, listening to identify every sound that he can. Okay, that's the tree against a tent. That's not this. What's that? Okay, what's that? We're trying to put them place where they belong. Again, doing it for 25 years, nothing really scares us. We know it's just something. That night, well, first I heard that thing go. I'm like, oh wow, what's weird? And then 20 minutes later, I heard it like turn off or shut off or go. And I go, shit, there it goes again. And I go, okay, whatever they just turned it on, they turn it back off. I go, oh, my freaking camera. They got my camera. And once it's done, my camera's right next to me. What's so much camera? But you don't know. But I don't know how to explain that sound. And it's pitch black. I'm not going to go out there because I can't. A little before that, or a little after, I'm laying in bed. I don't know. And again, I don't think we even slept that much. All of a sudden, oh, it was after that. I'm in my bed, on my cot. And I hear Kenneth going, no! And I jump up and I go, and I'm just, frozen with fear. I'm going, what the hell? And I'm listening, and the whole time I can't yell out, I can't do anything, I'm just scared and can't move. And I heard him yell, no! And I thought, oh shit, this is not good. So I just lay back down, and for some reason I was laying there going, come on, son, please get up, son, please get up. Don't you hear that? Don't you know people are out there? But at that point I knew that they weren't people because they weren't. I didn't hear like any footsteps the whole time. Next day we looked for footprints, there's no footprints. So I didn't, it was kind of odd. I mean, that's why I thought they were swishing around us like some kind of floating things. But I remember thinking, telling, the next day I realized too, like Kenneth said, after a while I got tired of being so scared, just let's try to relax. Because by now they could have cut me, burnt me, blow me up, but they didn't. That's why I tried to say, okay, they're not here, they're not some person, some chainsaw massacre guy, my scary movie, Jason and then Friday the 13th gonna come over here. It's not that, that's not what it is, but it's something that's definitely scary, but it's not human type and not here to scare me. So I do what Ken did and say, okay, they're not hurt you. If they wanted to hurt you, they could have hurt you by now. They didn't, so don't worry. They hadn't done anything. You just try to relax. That didn't really work too well, but that's all you can try to do. At one point, I'm sitting there, and again, you kind of go in and out the whole night. And this is the first time in my entire life I absolutely knew that aliens existed, and UFOs existed, and that B, that they were here, and that C, they're outside of my tent. And that's why I have my diagram here that shows. I'm in my cot, and just laying just like this. Ken's tent is right here. This is after the fire, and he yelled and stuff like that. And after I hear that sound, all of a sudden I pop up, and I look, and on the corner of my tent, I see a pattern of lights. And I seen that pattern I seen that color of lights with a particular pattern to it. And I've seen that now 1, 2, 4 times. Like I said earlier, 3 times here, once there. And I know that color. And I sit up, and I'm looking at these lights, and I'm just looking around going like, what the hell? And it clicked. I go, shit, those are freaking aliens. That's what it is. There's aliens out there. There's a ship out there across the road. It's a freaking ship, and it's the aliens, and that's what it is. I knew it was something. It's freaking aliens. Oh my God, there's aliens out there. I look at these lights, and I'm seeing them, and the pattern is the pattern that I see on these lights is about 2 feet, about this big, and it's about this tall, and it's in my tent, and it's the same color as if you see a glacier, and it's got room for water to sit, and it's that blue, white, clear color. Not white like a flashlight, not a lamp, not a car light. That's why I'm thinking, what kind of freaking color light is that? But it's a blue, light, white. Think about a glacier, and we have water on it, and to get that blue color, that real blue, fine, light, ice blue, that color. I'm looking up at it, and it didn't seem particularly come from anywhere. It just was there, and it was about this big as a pattern, about this big, and about this tall, rectangular, and it was kind of like went like this, and then it had a little shorter side like this, so it was kind of like this shape, kind of like the panhandle, like Oklahoma, little panhandle type shape like that, I guess. But within that light, there was like little circles, and they were kind of all moving a little bit. It was kind of like moving, not like really fast, but it's kind of like moving and not static. And that's when I realized, shit, there's freaking aliens out there. There's a ship right there, and they're out there. That's why this is all happening. Yada yada yada. And I sat up, and I knew it, but all I could do was just like, oh. And after I said that, the thought I said, oh. And I just laid back to sleep. I was told. I think I was just go back to sleep. I would have got up because there was a flashlight or a car, but man, we're remote. Ain't no one walking, no one hiking, no one driving, no one even there but us.